romance. Are you following? He talks about it within that conference, and it is very important to address this subject matter. In fact, to present. The Bible stands on it. Why? That's what I want to explain now. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and he will love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. So we have what I called a law here. The law of you cannot serve two masters. Now somebody is wondering, where is this going to? There is a law that says you cannot serve two masters. You know what? Whatever you cherish, are you following me? Whatever you cherish, you adore, you treasure. And maybe you adore it like God, or you adore it almost above God. This verse tells you that you cannot serve two masters. That law found expression even in our redemption. Once we were servants of sin. We couldn't be servants of God or servants of righteousness. Making sense? Now in our redemption, we are slaves of righteousness. We cannot be servants or slaves of sin. That should even explain why we believe the matter of righteousness or eternal salvation. Because you cannot serve two masters. I cannot be serving righteousness and still be a slave to sin. That is, I can't have two masters. Making sense? In another place, particularly in context here, this principle says, I call it principle, but this verse says, you cannot serve God and mammon. So he's using mammon as an expression of something that has the capacity to hold a very high place in people's hearts. So much so that when that thing enters people's hearts, it can compete with God. Come on, are you following? I didn't say when he enters into people's hands. If he enters into people's hearts, your canoe or your ship can be on the water and there is no danger about that. But when the water begins to enter into your ship or your canoe, then there is problem. Is what I'm saying making sense? So money in the hand of a believer is nothing wrong. Sorry, I don't know. I'm hearing the echo. Is it the two mics working together? All right. I think I'll just continue using this. Are we together, please? So, your boat, your canoe, your speedboat, what have you, so long as it is on the water and there is no hole through which the water will enter, then you have no problem. And that's more or less what the Bible is saying here. That there are cases of people that money has stopped just being what they desire to have in their hand, so that with it they can do whatever they want to do and they may do good works. But now it has entered into their heart. In other words, it has captured their attention. It has become the very thing that their core is living for. Are we together now? So we see an illustration there that you cannot serve two masters, especially anything that is competing for your heart. Now, while this is talking about money, one of the other things that has the tendency of entering and, capturing people's heart is what? Is love. Dating, relationship. Is that what we even say to those guys or whoever, the girl? You have captured my heart. Are you following? Now, we see that if there is anything that can take people's heart and draw their attention to something else apart from God, it is one of these two things. It's either money or love or and relationship. And so it is very important to get it and do it right. So if it is possible to have money and it is not going to be a sin, or it will not lead you into sin, that is, it will not enter your heart, then there should be a way to teach people to be in a relationship, and that relationship will not have their heart. And you understand what I mean? It will not take their attention away from God. So from this thing we are looking at here, it lets us know that there is one thing that is possible of distracting a believer from his